Ladies and gentlemen, now today we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know in order to defeat Namor on Uncollected difficulty. Now at first this fight may seem a little bit scary with all the power gain, but actually if you play him a certain way and get him to his Imperious Rex, you actually never have to worry about a special 3, and then it's pretty easy to kind of keep him in the corner and just keep on baiting out those special 2s, special 1s. And then he becomes pretty straightforward to beat down on any high damage output champion that doesn't rely on any standard damage over time effects. However, there are certain champions that we're going to be covering in today's video, like Human Torch and Void, that can reduce not only his regeneration on special attacks, but also the power gain as well. However, Human Torch is so incredibly good for the Namor matchup, man. Very, very fun to play. And out of all the champions today, I think I actually enjoy playing Human Torch the most. I've got a fair few solos on this lad now. Human Torch is really fun. Havok's really, really good for this matchup, but we're going to go over a list of 20-25 champions that are viable counters to the Uncollected version of Namor, because there are a lot of champions that you might think are going to work really well, but because of the debuff reduction of 80%, a lot of champions with standard power control mechanics or damage over time really turn out to be not so great on this fight. But anyway, before we get onto that, we're going to break down the core abilities of Namor and everything that you need to understand when it comes to fighting this champion. Now, I've found that the key to being Namor is understanding how Outrage and Imperious Rex function. So every 3 seconds, Namor gains 1 Outrage, and this is an orange debuff that is very, very easy to see in the fight. And every time you stun him, the time between getting Outrage is reduced. So he gets it faster and faster every time you stun him, and you actually want to stun him and get him up to 30 Outrage as quickly as possible. But also, you can gain additional Outrage on Namor by gaining a bar of power as well. So if you gain a bar of power and also stun him a few times, he's going to go up to 30 Outrage very, very quickly. And the core reason for wanting to get him so quickly up to 30 stacks of Outrage is because he'll enter Imperious Rex. Now, when he's in Imperious Rex, he applies a power drain to himself, so he's constantly going to be siphoning power. However, his special attacks cost 90% less power, but will increase the potency of this power drain. Now, one of the biggest problems you have in the Namor matchup on Uncollected is dealing with Spite and also dealing with the increased power gain as well, but providing that he's in Imperious Rex, then he is not going to activate his special 3. So that's kind of the biggest thing that you can die to in this fight, because his special attacks, once you get used to them, are very, very easy to avoid. So the biggest thing in this fight really is kind of keeping him in the Imperious Rex mode and against the wall, throwing those special attacks so you can keep on dodging them, and the fact that even if you are dodging them and you have a buff active, he's not going to use his special 3 and kill you. So that's the really most effective thing that I've found. But also when he's in kind of this phase as well, again, he's going to be spamming special attacks, so you do need to be aware that every time he uses a special attack, he's going to regenerate 6% of his missing health. Now, if you have a really high damage output champion or a character like Human Torch or Void that can reverse passively this healing, you're in for a really, really easy time against Namor. Now, quickly, just 2 more things to note before we get into some of the best champions for this fight, is he does have an insanely high amount of physical resistance, so if you don't crit on attacks, man, you're not going to deal very much damage at all. And also, he has reduced debuff duration by 80% for standard debuffs, and also attackers' power draining abilities are 90% less effective as well. So those 3 nodes really cancel out a lot of champions, but let's talk about some of the characters that can deal with Namor's regeneration, either by reversing it or out damaging it. So when it comes to Uncollected Namor, we've got 2 criteria for a good champion for this matchup. So you want high damage output characters that do not rely on regular damage over time. Again, there's 80% debuff duration resistance, which really gimps a lot of characters here. Also, any champions that have passive effects, ideally heal blocks, damage over time, and reversals. So yeah, let's break down all these characters. Now, first up, we got Corvus Glaive Man, very, very good for the the Namor matchup specifically as well, because Namor is actually marked in the game files as an Avenger, which means that Corvus Glaive gains 30 Glaive charges against that lad. Also, Starknant Spider-Man with 10 poise is a very, very easy time just to outdamage the regeneration there. Also, you know, you have the assisted evade with the specials. Void is crazy good because you can reverse any kind of power gain from Spite, and also reverse the regeneration as well when he's kind of spamming his special attacks, which can be very, very effective. Hyperion, Colobsidian Ghost, you've just got a you know, a lot of base damage output with all three of those champions, so they can all be potentially viable. If you're going to go down the Human Torch route, you want to make sure that you have Flame on, so you've got the passive overtime Nova Flames that don't suffer from the debuff reduction. So yeah, you want to make sure you take full advantage of Human Torch Flame on there. A Mega Red, I've seen Brian Grant and a couple of other people do it with a Mega Red. He's alright, you can get the damage from like the being near Namor degeneration, but the heavy attack does not stick on Namor, so a Mega Red is a little bit gimped in the matchup, but if you got a really stacked version, he can work. I've seen people pull it off with a rank 4 and a rank 5 Aegon, because he's got some pretty good damage there at his base. Medusa as well. Proxima Midnight, if you completed a couple of missions on Namor, you can just one-shot him with like Special 2 or Special 3. Then we've got Iron Man Infinity War. If you're playing Iron Man Infinity War, you want to get to a Special 3 because you have the resistance on the Special 1, Special 2. So as long as you get that passive on the Special 3, then you can power control him and really get in a fair bit of damage there, which is quite a nice time. Then we got Havok. You want to line Havok up perfectly for just a mega special 3 to one-shot this lad, but also Havok's kind of passive plasma charges on the opponent with the Despair Mastery can mitigate healing as well, so that's really, really useful for this one. Star-Lord, you can just ramp up the damage and kind of blast through his regeneration there. Domino, you know, she's got some pretty good base damage if you've got a very stacked version, but again, the bleeds and also the incinerate via the Trinity are going to be a little bit gimp there. Captain Marvel MCU, her armor breaks are going to be a little bit gimp, so is the stun on the special 2, but base man, Captain Marvel has really, really good damage in binary ignition, so she should be able to absolutely blitz for it. Dark Hawk, after a special 3, should have enough damage there, and you get, you know, a little bit on the heal block as well, but really the damage is going to be more than sufficient if you've got a stacked enough version of Darkhawk to get this lad down. She-Hulk as well can work quite well. If you're constantly like baiting out the special attacks, you keep him in Imperious Rex, you can keep on ramping up those Furies. Spider-Gwen, get the Venom synergy in, spam the special ones, and then once you get to 6, you have kind of enough damage as even a fully maxed out 4-star to outpace the regeneration there, so that's quite nice. Thing with full synergies, you can out-damage him. Red Hulk as well. Scarlet Witch, you've got a lot of physical damage there. Winter Soldier with a Killmonger synergy, you should have enough to ramp up. Hela, you should have plenty of time to kind of ramp up the Furies as well in that matchup. Same with Gamora as well, especially if you can you know, survive for a while, get all those buffs up, man, and the increased duration, you're going to be having a really, really good time there. And then finally, Angela should be able to do it as well, if you've got her as like a 6-star champion or a 5-star rank 4, but there are probably a few champions that I have missed off this list. I saw somebody as well, managed to get Namor down with like a rank 5 Blade. There's a video knocking about on YouTube, somebody tweeted it at me, so yeah, Blade as well. He was a bit of a slow option, but he did work for somebody out there. So there are probably a few more champions that I've missed off this list that could work. So if we have missed anybody, let me know in the comments section below who worked for you against Namor. But anyway, let's jump back into the fight, man, and break down a few more Namor takedowns. Now, we're going to start off with a Havok matchup here, which is a pretty interesting one. So the great part about Havok is those medium attacks are energy damage as well, so we're bypassing the physical resistance. But you can see he's starting to gain stacks of outrage, and the more we stun him, and once we get that first bar of power, you can see they're ramping up much, much faster now, but that is exactly what we want. So we want those stacks of outrage to get to 30 as soon as possible, because then we don't have to worry about the spite node and the extinction protocol, and, you know, potentially be getting clobbered by a special 3, because then you just get him into the state where you can just keep on baiting out special attacks, and you do not have to worry about that at all. So now Imperious Rex mode is active, and he's constantly being siphoned of power. The goal now is just to avoid special attacks, go in, and then build up to the special 3, and get a big enough special 3 to fully take this lad down. So I know I need about 4 plasma in order to snipe him fully. You know, playing around with Havok, man, you kind of get used to the numbers and values, so I'm just waiting for 1 more stack of plasma before I end this fight. Imperious Rex has fallen off, but luckily for us, we have just got the special 3 and also 4 stacks, so we fire it off, man, and Havok is just an absolute beast. He's so much fun to play, and I think we're really seeing how valuable that supercharged special 3 can be for some of the bosses this month. Next up, we got one of the best options for this fight. If you're looking for a really safe and easy matchup, man, Void is so incredibly good, just because you can cancel out the regeneration and also any power gain that he might gain from the Spite node with, what is it, his Petrify debuffs? So yeah, just makes it really, really straightforward. The only risky part is like right at the start of this fight here, so I'm trying to get him to throw a special 2. Luckily, he just about does that, but I really want him to get out to 30 stacks of Outrage now, so we go in for another stun there, and here we can confidently nuke him because he's about to enter Imperious Rex, and again his power is going to be constantly draining, so in none of the attempts when he's been in Imperious Rex, whenever I've pushed him to the special 3 and just kind of stood there nuking him, has he ever actually activated the special 3, just because the power drain is very quick and it seems to be quite potent even right at the beginning. So yeah, it's just a really, really nice time. So now we've got Fear of the Void active, so every single time he uses a special attack, he's going to heal for absolutely nothing, which is fantastic. And now we've got 1 stack of Petrify, but I think this is the point in the fight where he started to play really, really defensively. So yeah, he wasn't throwing off much special attacks, and also Imperious Rex is coming to an end now, and as soon as he completely runs out of power, that's when Imperious Rex and all of his stacks of Outrage expire, and you need to build them up again. However, we do have the safety net from the Spite node of having not only Fear of the Void, but also Petrify double to reverse it. So, you know, we don't need to worry too much about Power Flood. You can see once we dash back, it's actually reversing his power gain there, which is a really nice time. So yeah, this one with Void, man, it's just a really, really straightforward and easy matchup if you do have access to him. However, here, I'm just kind of parrying him just to allow him to get up to Imperious Rex, because again, once you do get him to Imperious Rex, he's just going to drain himself, but luckily there was enough damage over time just to finish off that lad there. So yeah, a very, very smooth little takedown with Void. Next up on the Namor Fighting Showcase, we've got a little bit of 4-star Spider-Gwen. So if you are going to use Spider-Gwen for this fight, man, I highly suggest taking the Venom synergy as well, just because you really want to kind of ramp up and beef up her attack, and she's going to benefit a lot from all of that bonus attack in this one. And Spider-Gwen, she isn't the absolute best character for this matchup just because of the high physical resistance, but she is a champion that can get the job done. So she can outpace the regeneration. It does take a little while to ramp up, and also in this video, man, there are a few mistakes as well, but kind of the first goal obviously is to push Namor to his Imperious Rex, so then we don't need to worry about getting ruined from the Spite and special 3. She also does have an Innovate on her special 1, but again, because of the reduced debuff duration, it's not really doing anything that effective in this fight. So Spider-Gwen is all about, you know, spamming that special 1 in order to get the charges to gain more attack, and then just nuking Namor down and hoping you get very, very lucky with the crits. Because if you're paying attention to the numbers, you're going to see there is a huge disparity between non-crits and crits with physical resistance nodes. Like, if you don't crit, man, you're pretty much dealing nothing, whereas the crits, you know, are still pretty tasty, but they are also fairly mitigated as well. So now Namor is out of Imperious Rex. We're just trying to get over a bar of power to gain that a little bit faster and make sure we stun him as well. But the priority here is getting him back to his Imperious Rex mode as well. I see that I'm pretty close to another bar of power, so I just decide to go in because that's going to make him gain it a little bit faster. And at this point, we're in pretty safe territory for another Imperious Rex. You can see he's like right at the special 3, but because Imperious Rex is active, it just doesn't really matter at all because he's just going to be constantly draining that. So there's no risk or fear of special 3. Again, in every scenario where I've fought this dude, man, I've never seen a special 3 while Imperious Rex is active. If you're going to take a special 3, it's probably going to be when Imperious Rex is not active, perspective from the super fun Spite Note. Because again, the deeper you get into this fight as well, the more power gain Namor is going to be having, so you have to be very, very careful toward the end of it, that you don't accidentally push him to a special 3 or close to that and then get ruined by Spite, as you are unfortunately going to see firsthand in a moment. But you know, this just shows you that even a 4-star version of Spider-Gwen is actually capable of out-damaging Namor, so that's some really, really good stuff there. However, dodging a special 1 here, Imperious Rex has just faded, and you can see at this point with the Extinction Protocol node as well, the power gain is absolutely insane. We go to try and bait out a special 2, but unfortunately we get ruined. In hindsight, I should have stayed back, I should not have hit him, and I should have just chain parried, and that probably would have won me the matchup there. But yeah, we get to see Namor's lovely special 3, which is always a great finish there. Finally, I just wanted to show the She-Hulk finishing the job on a 50% Namor, and again, one thing to bear in mind is that Namor's regeneration is based on the health that he's missing, so the lower that you get down in this fight, the more he's going to regenerate every single time he throws off a special attack. So that's something important to keep in mind. I did make a little bit of a mistake there and didn't connect my special 1 fast enough at the beginning. However, we're back on track and doing a pretty damn good job. So 2 reasons why She-Hulk actually works quite nicely for the Namor matchup is firstly, whenever he uses a special attack, you're going to refresh your Furies, and this dude is always firing off special attacks, so it's pretty easy to kind of keep them up. And also the second reason is that based on the amount of Furies that She-Hulk has, it's going to increase the chance for Namor to throw special attacks. So it just means you can get into this loop of really easily baiting out the special attacks, refreshing your Furies, stacking them up, going in for more damage, and it just makes it a really, really easy time. However, I found it a little bit difficult sometimes when stunning Namor to get a really, really quick connect, because one thing you do need to keep in mind as well is that the 80% debuff reduction duration also does apply to the stun mechanic, so you need to be very, very quick if you are going to parry this dude. But again, once you get into this phase where you can kind of continually bait out special attacks, it's just a really, really good time. So it's taken, you know, a few Furies, man, like 10 plus to start making some decent headway in Namor, but now we're at 13 Furies. Whenever we get a crit, it's hitting very, very hard and making a solid dent in this lad. So She-Hulk, she's going to take a little bit of ramp up, a little bit of practice to get it done, but this is a 5-star rank 3 version without any special synergies, and also without having the champion awakened as well. So we are missing a few things that could make She-Hulk a little bit better, but yeah, as you can see, man, if you can play well and aggressively, she works an absolute treat. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching today's video guide. If it did help you out, please do smash that like button and also share it with your alliance, that'd be greatly appreciated. Aside from that, thank you very much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.